Welcome to Van Cortlandt Park. It's made up of 1,146 acres of lush green forests and fields, located in Bronx, New York. It takes a lot to manage a park this big, which is where the urban ecology teens come into play. Launched in 2012, the Urban Eco Teens are dedicated to learning and practicing environmental stewardship, forest preservation, and ecological revival all over Van Cortlandt Park.
This is an opportunity for them to be working both academically and physically. So there's two parts to the program. One is getting a leg up on college. They take science courses at Lehman College, and then work with our foresters and our horticulturists in the park.
It is always wonderful to be able to find people that live there, that thrive there, that have a vested interest in it, to actually now come out and be engaged in providing programming to the rest of their neighbors in the community.
It's a good way to learn about teamwork. It's a good way to learn about how much of an impact one person can make along with other kids around.
The first place where we worked in was at the Arthur Ross Nursery. Dan, the administrator of horticulture, taught us a lot. On our first day, we gathered around to learn about compost.
Compost is a simple thing, and it's also kind of a complicated thing. Basically, it's rotting organic material. This compost is not fully done. It's new.
Based on gardener Richie's explanation and example, our interns were able to propagate plants.
What you want to do is you want to wet the part that you're going to put the hormone on. Once it's wet, you can dip it in the powder and you kind of roll it so that it gets powder on all sides of the stem. Then with your other finger, you want to tap off the excess powder, stick it in, and then you...
In order to properly transfer a potted plant to a larger one, you have to fill the bottom of the pot with dirt. Next, we break up the roots of the plant in order for it to better absorb nutrients. Then we fill the sides with more dirt, and finally, it's topped off with nutritional charcoal and mulch to prevent weeds from growing.
Plants were our goodbye gift. Each intern came to the nursery to nurture plants and left with a plant to take care of at home.
Our next stop in the program is the Van Cortlandt Park Lake, where the interns were taught about lake eutrophication. This involves pulling out weeds from the lake that prevent photosynthesis from occurring below the surface. As a result, more oxygen is formed and organisms inside the lake can thrive further.
It's small things. It's like we take out the weeds, we plant flowers, we clean up the lake, and they're all little things, but they all make a difference in the end.
Afterwards, the interns moved onto forest restoration with John Butler and his team, who are professionals in the forest restoration field. The teens began to work in canopy gaps, trails, and even the Van Cortlandt House Museum.
I learned canopy gaps are not good because they allow the growing of vines which can climb trees and suffocate them.
The first years are taking an environmental science class at Lehman College with Professor Nunez. This is Davis Hall. This is room 219 where the class is held. It used to be an anthropology classroom, hence the skeleton. The students learn about the environment, watch documentaries, and have class discussions about what they've learned. This class, in conjunction with the hands-on work, offers the students a more rounded experience.
I teach how urbanization affects the ecology and dynamics of the parks. We're not the only beings on this planet. We need to learn how to interact and communicate and live with other animals and living organisms. We take it for granted, the animals that live there, and it's important because we have this connection to them, and their existence is dependent on our existence as well.
I teach GIS, stands for Geographic Information Science. In a nutshell, I teach the students how to use technology to make maps. It's a little bit of computer science, there's technology in it. For example, we use tablets to go out into the field and collect location data. And then there's also design. You've got to design your map. I've always wanted to be an artist. And then there's the conceptual thinking. Where are these problems happening? How can we solve them?
Every year, we go on a series of trips in order to enhance our knowledge on different parts of the environment.
Untermeyer Gardens is an annual trip that we have with its amazing landscapes surrounding the Love Temple. It created some picturesque opportunities. The garden allowed interns to experience how our work of plant management can help create something beautiful for everyone to experience. We took this trip not only to admire the environment we are in, but also as a break to be creative with our drawings.
This year, we went to Newtown Creek wastewater treatment. We received a presentation on the main purpose of the center, a tour, and an opportunity to see the amazing view of Brooklyn from the digester eggs, while wearing hard hats and vests. The Lower East Side Ecology Center was the bridge to the Newtown Creek Wastewater Treatment Center. We were able to perform a lab which tested the water quality of the East River.
When the youth are involved, the youth will also bring other youth to become stewards of the park. Then it will create memories and will create for the future.
We don't want to be the only species left on this planet, because without other species, without this biodiversity, we just have a boring planet. We'd have absolutely no way of getting our nutrients. We'd have no vibrancy in our parks and our woods or forests. It's just going to be lackluster.
I like to think of ecology or our environment as our house, and who wouldn't want to live in a dirty, disgusting, and deteriorating house? So why would you make the planet like that,
I think that it's important to take measures beforehand, take preventive measures to avoid everything from happening. So instead of recycling your bottles and cans, use reusable bottles.
The earth is basically one big home for all of us, so if we don't take care of it properly, it's gonna affect us a lot as well.
Thinking about what I'm doing with certain chemicals and not to throw my old phones away or put it somewhere so it can be recycled.
I learned about different plants, actually. I learned about air pollution. I learned about biology. I learned about things that I didn't even know before. And I feel like the stuff that I learned while working in the park, and also the lessons I learned in college, I felt like will also help with school when I go back to school and stuff like that.
If they become school teachers, they'll be school teachers who care about the environment. If they become bankers, they'll be bankers who care about the environment. They may not become environmental scientists per se, although there's a certain percentage that will. But we want this Van Cortlandt Park and its natural resources to be in your hearts in the future.
Think of what your life would be like if there were no trees, no flowers, no crisp blue sky. This could be possible if we don't care for our environment. Our environment is our home. We need to care for it or it'll be gone. Our home is crumbling at our hands, but that can be changed if you decide to change as well. As Gandhi said, you have to be the change you wish to see in this world. We are the youth who will be responsible for protecting this home, our one and only home. A little goes a long way. For many, this program sparked an interest in taking care of what is and what will always be ours.